Welcome, my friends of the interwebs. I just finished doing a video about Hillary Rodham Clinton. Not sure which channel it's going to go on, but you probably have already seen it, or maybe you have not. I don't know. Anyway, I started to talk a little bit about the Mexican invasion, or the invasion from Mexico, and I gave a statistic that is so mind blowing. It's just it really bears repeating, and it actually needs to be part of the narrative. And that is that 25% of the population of Mexico is now residing in the United States. That is correct. 25% of a country's population has been shifted to the neighboring country. So at what point does that kind of look like an invasion? A FUBAR? Yeah, I had somebody barfing some nonsense at me a couple of days ago about how Barack Obama has deported more Mexicans than anybody else, but it's a numbers game. Maybe he has, but he's let in gazillion times more than anybody else has. I mean, you know, that's the joke of it all. 25% of Mexico now resides in the United States. And by the way, I like Rand Paul. But if he said what he said the other day, if it's true that he's against voter ID, then fuck him. I have no use for him. Because if we cannot verify who's voting at the polls, then we are fucked. Because I am trying to fucking tell you this. I am going to shout it from the highest mountain. These Mexican immigrants, or immigrants isn't really the right word. They're lawbreakers. They're not immigrants. They're lawbreakers. But these invaders are voting, and by the drove. And when I hear the smug left-wing media say things like, well, the Hispanic vote is the fastest growing voting bloc and the Republicans really need to understand that. What? First of all, if you want to consider illegal aliens voting in this country as the fastest voting bloc, then fuck you. Literally. Let me tell you something. If you are not a citizen of this country, you have no business whatsoever. I don't give a rat's ass you think you do. I don't give a rat's ass how long you've been in this country. If you are not a citizen, you don't have a freaking right one to vote in any of our elections. Vote on anything. I don't care if it's some fucking roads bill. I don't care if it's something for the local schools. If you are not a citizen of this country, you don't have the right to vote. Period. That's not even something that I'm willing to discuss. That's not something that even needs to be put on the table. Will not be on the fucking table. So you liberal freaks in the media who keep telling Republicans and everybody else that they need to get on they need to get with the times and they need to start respecting the Hispanic vote because it's such a large voting bloc. The only reason it's a large voting bloc is because they're voting illegally. Period. The only reason it's the largest growing voting bloc is because we are literally allowing them to fucking vote when they shouldn't be. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And it needs to stop. And this is not, by the way, for those of you who think this is hate speech, because that's one of the left's favorite ways to shut down opposition. Is to start calling people bigots, start calling people racist, start calling people, hate speechers, start comparing them to the Klan, and all this other fucking nonsense, which I don't give a fuck anymore. I am over that. I don't care. You want to call me racist? Call me a fucking racist. You want to call me a fucking bigot? Call me a fucking bigot. Those things don't fucking affect me anymore. Because I realize that you use them as a bullshit tool to attack people. You use them as a bullshit tool to try to shut people down. You use it as a bullshit tool to stifle opposition to your fucking plans. And your plan literally is to open up the borders. Open border fucking policy is going to be the death of this country. Period. We can't keep bringing people over here that, by the way, okay, I'm not against immigration at all. You're a Mexican, say, I don't know, physician? You want to immigrate to this country? Let's fast track it. You're a Mexican, I don't know, Dentist? You want to immigrate to this country? Let's figure out a way to fast track that. You're a Mexican peasant that can't read or write and have very little skills outside of extreme menial labor? No. We've got enough of you. We have Americans that need jobs. And you know, I'll tell you the thing that kills me about this. And I mean, it's disgusting as far as I'm concerned. The people in this country that are hurt the most by this are the middle class. The class that the Democrats claim to be the champions of. I mean, well, outside of, obviously, the welfare class. But, I mean, they're always going on about for the working man, for the working class, for the middle class, for the union people. Let me tell you something. If you think for a second that this illegal immigration wave that we have isn't screwing the working man, you're fucking nuts. You haven't thought it out. You're not paying attention. You are not paying attention. I mean, look, ask anybody in the carpentry field today. It used to be if you had a son who had some skills, he could become a carpenter and he could make a good life for himself and start a family and have a good life. Today, good luck. Good luck. And if he can find a carpentry job, the odds are that it's going to be for a hell of a lot less than it would have been before we had this ocean of illegals willing to work for damn near nothing. I mean, the whole thing's fucking foobar. But when I heard the stats of 25% of a nation now living in the United States, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind. Between the Mexicans and the Muslims, we're kind of fucked. And Americans just, part of me almost doesn't have sympathy for a lot of Americans because there's very few of us that are actually fucking screaming about this. I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, think about it. Most Americans stay stupid. They just stay stupid. They don't get it. They don't care. They just stay stupid. And in the end, it's almost like they don't have children. It's almost like they don't have children or grandchildren. I don't have children and don't have grandchildren, and I am seemingly more concerned about other people's children and grandchildren than they are. I mean, the whole thing is just fucking ridiculous. It is fucking ridiculous. Something's got to give. Some of these, these open border liberal nut jobs. Well, and not just the open border is obviously a huge thing with the Mexicans, but I'll be honest with you. I'll be totally honest with you. The Muslims scare the shit out of me. Because those people aren't going to even ever think of assimilating. Ever. And at some point, we're going to have regions of this country that are going to have the kind of sectarian violence that you see over in the Middle East. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. See ya!